Hey everybody, Melissa Sorrentino here with another installment of my Improv Sophisticate, where I talk about improv and how it relates to life and how life relates to improv, and the two work together. Alright, so I want to talk today about comedy covers a myriad of sins. The comedy cover-up. Now, there are two ways you could look at this. One is, you could schemingly and strategically utilize comedy to back yourself out of a situation. Maybe you got yourself in the weeds, put your foot in your mouth, made a mistake, whatever. So you can use it as a cover-up in that way, by covering things with humor. But it also can be used as a way to sort of truly and authentically lighten up, I want to say moments, but overall, you lighten up enough moments, you're really lightening up life itself. And there are a lot of people who, all of us, as we grow up, we lose that sense of, playfulness that we had as kids. And when you're playful, it's a lot easier to lighten things up. When you take everything very seriously, it's like you have a further distance to go from where you're at to getting lightened up. And if you let yourself get too mired in darkness, it can compound to where throughout the years, there are grown-ups going around and they don't laugh ever. And for some reason they think that that's childish or that's inappropriate or wrong. I totally disagree. Okay, so I want to first talk about this in more the performance capacity. I had an experience just day before yesterday, and it actually really sort of brought up for me one of my first experiences that I'm going to straight up legit call improv. I think my earliest improv experience was this game that I made up with, I made it up with one friend that was over spending the night at my house, and then it evolved into something where I would bring this game out for, various friends that would come over. And everybody, we just always had a blast and laughed so hard. We would grape juices coming out of your nose type stuff when you're a kid. But the time that I had an experience that was actually on a stage, and I think I accidentally stumbled into the realm of improv, was this. I was singing with my wonderful and fabulous trio. Hi, Sue. Hi, Jen. These are my girls, the figs, the figurines in high school. So we're doing our little trio thing. And it was just the very beginning. We were just getting on stage, and and we had a full house. It was like a choir concert or something. And it was just SRO. That stands for standing room only, for those of you that aren't from the 1940s. So SRO, kid. It was SRO, y'all. So we were there and we were doing this concert, and of course we're nervous, and I don't remember if it was it may have legit been the first time we performed in school. We had performed elsewhere, but this isn't important, and I digress. But good Lord, there's a lot of cobwebs in my memory. It's taking me a while to rake through them and pull this little incident out. So anyway, so we get on stage, and the mic makes a horrible feedback sound. And immediately I grabbed the microphone and went, while the sound was happening, and of course, it brought down the house, because the thing is, and I talk about this sometimes, okay, here's a baseline. Here's stuff that's shitty, the negative. Here's stuff that's awesome, the positive. The deeper the negative goes, the more proportionate. I'm looking here. If it only goes here, then the next laugh. If you only go to this level of depth, your next laugh is going to be there. But if you go down, your next laugh is here. And it's this weird proportionate thing that happens that sort of balances the yin and the yang. That's why, in my opinion, in the film Steel Magnolias, there's a super heavy scene after Chelsea's died and everybody's in not the funeral home, the outside, the graveyard. And it's really getting very deep and very emotional, and there's tears, and then boom, there's a joke, and it's one of the funniest moments that I've ever seen in a movie. You laugh your ass off because all that tension is just so released. It's the same with sex. The more tension you can create, then that release going to be mighty nice. You know what I'm saying? So, in this particular situation, I believe the reason it got such a huge laugh when I did that with the mic is because the moment that the feedback came out, it was such a letdown. It was like, oh no, how awful. These cute girls just came out on stage and they're about to perform, and then, oh, damn it, this horrible feedback is going to ruin it. But even before anybody could go to that just overwhelming sense of like embarrassment for us and discomfort and just straight up annoyance, because the noise, I mean, that goes right into your brain pan, that feedback noise. So as soon as I relieved that by taking charge and making it funny, boom, it's hilarious. Now that may be overanalyzing that moment, as far as me getting verbose right now, but there's a reason. It's because I don't think these things should be dissected down to that, that kernel of it very often. But since we are taking that concept and putting it under a microscope, I do think this is important. So what happened the day before yesterday was, here I am, grown woman, been all through my whole, went to Hollywood, did my whole actor thing. I mean, we are I'm not going to say I'm in the sunset of my life, but, we're a little deeper in the lifespan than we were back in those days in the high school. But I was performing a song, and it was a funny song. And the thing was, I only had maybe a week's notice or something, give or take, to do this song. And it was very, very long, and it had a lot of lyrics. So I decided that I was going to do my very best to memorize it. But I let it even go all the way till intermission of the show before I decided whether or not I was going to try to be off book. And I went, you know what? Add a dose of nervousness or distraction, and I think I'm going to go up, which the phrase go up, again, if you're born in the 40s, if you're on stage and you go up, that means you forget your line. So I didn't want to go up. So I decided I'm just going to bring my music, and I set it on the grand piano, so the piano player's here, and I'm over here doing my thing, and every time I would glance at the next line, if I felt confident enough, I'd step out from behind the piano, and I was getting quite physical because it was a very comedic song, which already had created a comedic sense. It was a sarcastic song. So I got almost all the way through, literally it was the second to the last line of this very long song, and I straight up forgot the words. And this is where improv comes in, and this is why I highly recommend improv. If your only takeaway from improv is that the next time you're giving, a speech to the board of trustees of wherever you work or something like that, or the board of whatever, VIP people, it gives you the ability to always know that no matter what happens, you can take the last moment and deal with it. It's just, that you're going to live and perform from moment to moment to moment to moment. So all I had to do, and I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't think I would go up while I had the music out there. So that was uber embarrassing, because if I had forgotten the words without a card of keywords or something, I had written the lyrics out, I would have been screwed. I don't know. I would have come up with something. I know that. And that gives me the confidence to be able to get my ass from a chair to the stage in the first place. If I didn't have that, I just don't think I ever would have got the nerve to perform at all, because God forbid something goes wrong. So there I am. It was a pretty packed room. A lot of people really kind of having a lot of confidence in my performance and rooting for me and rooting for the overall aesthetic of the show, as it were. So, very nice full audience, a lot of people, way over 100 some people. And I straight up forget the line. But the previous line in the song had just been, from all I've read, blah, 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 blah. So as soon as the beginning of the next, vamp started, and I couldn't remember the line, all I had to do was say, wow, I can't remember, like, what I had read, or something like that. So I made a reference to the fact of having read it. So I said, so it was like, from all I read, da, 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 da. And then the next moment, I was like, I can't remember what I've read. And then I took a moment and I looked at the, paper in front of me, and everybody was laughing during that moment, thank God. And part of my brain, like half my brain over here is going, oh, I'm so glad they're laughing. And the other half is like, well, before they stop laughing, find the next word. And immediately I found the next word and I said, oh, that's right. It's something about love is blind. And then I went and I sang the next line. Of course, after the show, several people came up to me and they were, because I had little funny planned bits throughout the song too. So that just came across like it was one of the funny planned bits. So a lot of people came up to me afterwards and asked me, was that planned? And and I think I may from now on start just fucking saying, yeah, it was planned. But I, of course, confess, I was like, no, that was not planned. And they were like, wow, I totally thought that was planned. And then they asked me like another thing from the song, was that planned? I was like, yeah, that actually was planned. So anyway, the spontaneity of being able to be flexible and malleable and adjust is something that I absolutely derive from improv. And now when I was that girl in high school, that was natural to me because I am a naturally lightning and sort of humorous person, but it is something that can be taught. And when you have that confidence level because you've been in improv situations, I mean, I've been on stage many times with 0 lines memorized. So if I have one moment in a whole song, 99.9% of the song is already written for me. I only have to come up with one improv moment. I'm going to be able to do that. And knowing that and being confident of that is something that can get me on stage. Now, just for a moment, let's just link that up to life, you guys. In life, so last night I encountered a situation. I'm not even going to say anything about it other than that. But I encountered a situation. And I had a quick flip moment where I was actually pretty pissed at this person. They had been, kind of hassling me and giving me kind of a rough time. And I was just like, I just chose, often in my head, I think of the word gracious. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to choose grace. I'm going to just be gracious. This person's personality is like that. That has nothing to do with me. So instead of getting pissy, confrontational, yada, yada, I chose to just lighten the mood. So I made a joke and the dude cracked up and it was, I think, pretty cool. And then, of course, because the mood was lightened, the bullshit kind of ended. And, I didn't get to stick it to that person, but I'd rather bring light and love into the universe than stick anything to anybody. And I can forgive somebody their personality flaws, which just happen to be in the category of, dickishness, and maybe they can forgive some of my personality flaws, which that I tend to go into sort of like a little bit airhead, a little bit flighty. Occasionally, I may make a mistake in like get things done land for the sake of connect with human beings land. So that some people don't prefer that, and that's cool. That's my preference. But this person's personality is more in the get things done camp. So anyway, as you can see, I just got cut off, which I think is kind of hilarious because I'm talking about when you make mistakes, how to cover them graciously and with a little bit of comedy and by taking it lightly. So that's pretty funny. And then secondly, didn't I just say something about being flighty rather than getting things done? So yeah, kind of flighty. I forgot to delete a couple other videos before I recorded this, and there's just not that much memory on my gadget, so that's how come that happened. But anyway, just to wrap things up, so this guy was kind of being a dick, and I just used a little bit of humor and just glossed right over it, and that is where I'm linking the concept of using comedy as a cover-up and linking that to life, using comedy as a cover-up to life and also using it just to lighten things up. Just quick analogy I wanted to make before I close out here is in regards to like makeup. Makeup, especially for those of us who occasionally have a blemish, we learn to use cover up. We learn to put a little bit something on a little spot here and there and just sort of cover it up. And that not only conceals the flaw, but it also creates a prettier picture overall. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. I hope you've stuck with me to the end of this video, because I really think this is an important concept. And if we can fold that into our lives, not just on stage, if we're funny on stage, why not use that also off stage and just make the world a prettier place? Okay, take care, you guys. Love you. Bye.